Good evening, friends! Good evening! Now that was brilliant, and I don't even need to get you to do it twice. Well done, good evening, and welcome to Littleport Christian Spiritualists. It's a pleasure to welcome you all here this Thursday night in Littleport Village Hall. And it's also a pleasure to welcome our friends who are watching online, who are watching from all over the world, I'm sure, and will, of course, watch later on. So, although you're not live, we will forgive you. And, of course, we would normally say at this point, good evening to our medium. But unfortunately, due to the weather, Alan Albiston was unable to make it. So guess what? You're stuck with me. So there we are. Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you. So friends, do have a wonderful, wonderful, uplifting evening. And of course, send your healing thoughts to Alan, who's probably a little bit annoyed that he wasn't able to make it, but of course I'm sure he will be with us in spirit, and he's got Facebook, so he might even be watching. So if you are, evening Alan. So let's open this service in the grand old traditional way of opening in prayer. As we say, Great Spirit, Father, Mother, God, we thank you for the opportunity to come together as friends, to unite under your banner of love, of hope, and of friendship, to be able to witness the proof and the truth that life is indeed eternal. As we place this service in your care and keeping, we make the statement as ever that everything we do will be in the name of love, in the name of truth, and in the name of light. Amen. Amen. Well, friends, every week, every prayer, in fact, I always say, in the name of love, in the name of truth, and in the name of light. It's not shallow words. It's not a hollow sentiment. And it's not something, even though I say it all the time, that I say by rote. Every word in a prayer must have meaning, have purpose, and intent. This is why you very rarely hear me say the Lord's Prayer. Because when Jesus gave the Lord's Prayer, he said, say something like this. He was teaching people to pray. He was teaching people to cover all the bases. But he never intended it to be a solid, rock-steady, you must say it. It's just there for people who can't remember how to pray, to give them guidance and support and help. You see, friends, prayers must come from the heart. Prayers must come through the soul and back through it up to the world of spirit, just like everything else we do. Those three simple words I have been saying in every prayer since 1998, and I mean them. Love, the unconditional love that we should have for each other, that the spirit world definitely has for us. Love, a demonstration of compassion, of kindness, of friendship, and of security. Truth, absolute truth, that everything we do is done with the best of intentions. It might not always work and it might not always go right, but so long as you set out with good intentions, that's all that matters. So long as you are honest with yourself and with the world of spirit, that's all that matters. And light. We serve the forces of good. And this is the one that those that would do us down, that say we are either charlatans or devil worshippers, for example, to name but a few of the schmuck that's been thrown at me over the years. We do it on the side of light, for the benefit of all, that ties in with those other two very meaningful words. Because, my friends, the light is what we serve. The light is what we represent, and the light is what we are, whether we realize it or not. Now, there are many names We're back. So I was just about to talk about the many names, many faces, many descriptions of the Great Spirit, which is an absolute representation of infinite love, infinite truth, and infinite light. Because then, no matter what description, no matter what image we have in our mind of what the Great Spirit is, what it definitely is energy. The source of the universe, the spark that lights the way. Nudge, nudge to all Star Wars fans. The absolute spark of life that exists partially within us. The thing that kicks us off. And it is all for good. That's what being on the side of light is all about. And we are all made of that same energy, that same star stuff that makes us a part of the universe. However, there are unfortunately times when we have to recognize that if there is a side of light, there is a side, for want of a better term, of darkness. I actually prefer not to use that term, and not because it conjures up connotations of really, really weird things, and because it's not a direct opposite. It never can be. I prefer to refer it as absence, because that's what it is. An absence of love, an absence of truth, an absence of life. And there are, unfortunately, if you understand the science of this universe in which we live, times when that absence in the universe tries to hold sway. You've only got to look back through time and history, and even that briefly amounted recorded history of the human civilization, to know that there are times when the absence tries to force its hand. Every single time, absence will fail. Why is that? Because we are human beings with need, with compassion, really, with hope. Absence can never win, because we cannot exist with absence. We have to have substance. That is because we are physical, and that is our greatest blessing. When the world of spirit comes through on a Thursday night, a Sunday night, a Monday night, in a book, on the website, wherever, when they talk about spirit always winning, because being human is a gift, even when it really doesn't feel like it, it's because we have an absolute desire for substance, for existence, for a physical representation of something. We do not do absence. And when absence tries to force its hand, we fight back with hope, with compassion, with friendship, with charity, with love, with kindness, with free will. Because that's what we do. So whenever the absence creeps forward, look for a hand reaching out. Because within that absence, you will always find substance. The substance of the Spirit, the living Spirit, each other. To find a path, to shine a light with love and with compassion. It is a battle. Every day's a struggle and a battle and a war going on. Sometimes quite literally. But those who are the soldiers of absence will never succeed. Because I look up here on a Thursday night out to shining, happy faces, some occasionally nodding off, but that's just me. I see compassion and kindness and know that so long as there is that tiny spark of hope and love, the world will be all right, because we need substance. And absence has no place. Because when we seek those that have gone before in the world of spirit, when they come to us, that absence that we feel lessens because we know that they are there. That hole that they have left will never be completely filled because we miss the physical as well. But it's leveled off a little by the presence of the knowing that those in the world of spirit are here and watching and listening. And if you're like me, telling me how to live my life. And I'm not alone on that, I know. I remember very much, and am reminded of a speech that was given by a very, very wordy gentleman who was filled with philosophy and love and compassion and truth. And he said, there is a greater darkness, see absence, than the one we fight. It is the darkness of the soul that's lost its way. Greater than the fight against principalities and powers is the fight for hope, the fight for compassion, and the fight for love. Because we know that the world is filled with moments of transition and moments of revelation. And we may never know exactly when, because we cannot tell the future, that these moments will come. But we do know that they are born in pain. But it is our pain that fills absence. And it is transformed into hope and love and compassion, because we don't ever want anyone else to feel the way we did, because we don't ever want to know that we are alone. So do not fear the darkness, because it has no sway over you, because you are a light yourself. So when absence comes knocking, remember, it can't win, because even if you are on your own, you are still there. So there is substance. And never let the shadows of doubt or fear control you, because you are energy, you are light, you are love, you are compassion, and you are standing up for love, for truth, and for light. And quite literally, I say, Amen. Thank you for listening. Actually, keep going. I can have another swig of tea then. I'm kidding. Friends, and now is the time in our service when we see if the world of spirit are in tune across the blows of the fens that we've had today. I don't know if anyone was out in that today. I was driving through a fen blow and it was like, woo, where's that come from? Ain't seen one of them in years that big. All the way up north, all the way up into Lincolnshire, we say those magic words for our reading. Reverend Alan, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening, Littleport. Good evening, everybody watching online and that will watch. Tonight's reading I have read before, but I think, one, it will tie in with your address, Nick, and the other one, very poignant at this time. Bearing in mind, I will say before that I read it, this was written by an 8-year-old girl. Peace will make the world free. Open your eyes and help us see. Wars and conflicts make people sad. Hurting each other, hurting others is really bad. Many kids live through an awful war. Their family ends up very poor. During war, they often lose, sometimes even their own shoes. Let us speak up, tell a friend, all these wars need to end. Peace begins when we care. Let us make this world truly fair. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, Alan, thank you. That, yeah, you could say that did tie in quite well.
Just a bit.
They are definitely in tune, as they say, as we would hope, and as they always are. Thank you, Alan. Well, thank you so much, and of course we will still continue. We have the healing in a moment, but what are you up to this weekend, mate?
This weekend, I'm probably going to be relaxing. Because
you're not looking for coins again this weekend, then?
Well, you never know. That comes up as and when. Sometimes I get called out at the last minute.
Yes.
To on an invite or something like that with friends and that are going out, and they say, "Oh, would you like to come?" So yeah, it can be last minute, but I've got nothing planned for this weekend because I'm going to be very busy next week.
Yes, and of course, I am reminded to mention that there is a drum and circle event on the 17th of April here in this village hall that you are coming to sort out for us, are you not?
Absolutely. And may I add that anybody and everybody is welcome.
Excellent. Well, as ever, Alan, thank you so much, and we will see you a little bit later on.
Okay. Have a good evening, everybody.
God bless you, Chief. See you soon. Reverend Alan, everybody! And I must reiterate, me and Alan don't have the time to communicate about what we're going to talk about. So it really is pure spirit input, which is why we do it with a shins, as the saying goes. One thing we don't do with a shins. Thank you. I was wondering how that was going to tie into the next part. But one thing we don't do with a shins is healing. Healing is the first step of mediumship, the best step of mediumship, where you can truly be of benefit and help and comfort to someone else. You send out your thoughts. It is like prayer. And yes, you do make up those words on your own. But you can nick it from other people too, because that's how we learn. I would suggest always ending in love and truth and light or something to that effect, because it does help. But really, those words must come from you. Your own words, your own thoughts, your own compassion. If you find something is said that resonates with you, by all means steal it, so long as you give credit from time to time. But wherever you get your words from, make sure they are meant and they will never go wrong. Absolute. So let's send out our healing thoughts. Tonight, I am reminded that we have to send healing to Julie, to Della, and to Mandy. And of course, send your healing thoughts out to anyone else, and always remember to include yourself as we say the healing prayer that's been handed down through this church for years. Listen to some music and then end with the word Amen, as we join together and say, Great Spirit, Father, Mother God, here we bring unto you all those who are sick and suffering and in need of comfort, be they sick in mind, body, or spirit, that it may please thee to heal them. This we ask for those we know, for those we do not know, and those who have no one to ask for them. We ask for them now. Amen. Well, friends, thank you and well done on doing mediumship. That's important, isn't it? And speaking of which, I'm now going to hand over this service to... Oh, no, I'm not. I will now conduct the mediumship. It's quite funny, really. Everyone keeps going off on one about saying, oh, it's the Nick Brown show. Tonight it really is. Ha, ha, ha. It's not. It's the Spirit show. The way I work is simple. I do what I am told. My mother would probably disagree with me on that, but I do what they tell me, if not what she tells me. If I come to you, please answer in a clear voice, yes, no, don't know, because everyone's nosy, wants to know what's going on. If I do throw it out, pay attention, listen. If it rings a bell with you, give us a shout, give me a wave, give me a nod. I will always try to censor language. Try. I always do my best, and they don't get me in trouble too much. But I will occasionally start to physically behave like the person that would have come through in some ways sometimes. So just pay attention to what it is that I'm physically doing as well, because you might get some evidence there as well. And regardless of that, if I don't come to you, there'll be an opportunity another time. But we will see what our friends in spirit have to say tonight. And I do wish you all a wonderful evening. So over to you. Because I have to say over to somebody, otherwise it don't feel right. So it's over to you tonight. Hello, George. Right, let's see what we've got. Right, okay. As I link in, I'm being instantly made aware of, thank you. I'm being made aware of a condition that may well, I believe, have been of passing, and I'm feeling it right here. And it is now spreading all the way up. So I do feel that there would have been a condition in the abdomen, lower down, that would have spread, that would have caused a great deal of discomfort. However, I'm hiding it. This person who is coming through was very, very good at hiding their discomfort for the benefit of others, but it ended up not being for their own benefit, because had they have said or done something about it sooner, things might have ended differently. However, what she is saying, there we are, gender, that helps. What she is saying to me is really, in truth, it wouldn't have made a difference in the long run, but it did wind a few people up. I'm also being made... What is that? Thank you. I'm being made aware, interestingly enough, this is a new one on me. I've never had this before. I don't feel that she's been gone overly long, because I feel that I'm wearing a mask. So it would have probably been no more than the last 2 years. Thank you for that. She's very good, actually, at communicating and using symbols to help me along the path. I do know that this pain is gradually getting more and more searing. And I'm finding it harder to cover it up, which would have been how it ended up being spotted in the long run. Questions would have been asked, it would have been denied, there'd have been a lot of to and froing, occasionally some heated words, a lot of worry, and in the end the truth came out. I am feeling very breathless with this lady. I am feeling very frustrated with the situation, but this is not me now. This is what I was then. Okay. Oh, hello. Sorry, forgot you were there. Can anyone understand this lady so far? You will understand the mask. This was important.
Not the length of time, but all the symptoms.
Was she wearing a mask when she passed?
I wasn't there.
Would she have been on breathing apparatus? Because that may well have been what I'm feeling. She was wearing a mask.
Probably not at the beginning.
Right, okay. Let's see where we go with this. Because I did actually originally feel drawn to you because I moved my head and... Right, okay. I moved my head and was made aware of our conversation last week, and I was drawn to you, but I dismissed that. Shouldn't have done. Lesson learned for anyone who's in training as a medium. So do carry on listening, but... this is odd. I feel as though something's missing. So do you know if something would have been removed? Right, okay. And also, I'm not giving this as evidence because I've got a sneaking suspicion I know who I'm with. But I did feel motherly. But I do feel distance. So would you understand that there was either a physical or emotional distance? Right, okay. In that case, may I work with you, madam? Thank you. Okay. Hang on a second. Let's just get rid of this pain, please. Thank you. No, she's not letting it go. She's not letting it go. She says, I had to suffer, so did you. Would you understand that she could be a bit sarky from time to time? So if I had to put up with it, so will you. And she's taken it away now, but she wanted to throw that in just to show her sense of humour, that she would even joke about things such as pain as a way of dismissing it and passing it off. Okay. I'm being reminded that when she was building up, I said things would not have worked out any different. That is important. Vital, in fact. And you still, even though you've heard it several times, even though you've heard it several times from people, and I'm not necessarily talking about mediumship, it's still nonetheless the truth, whether you believe it or not. She says, would you understand that she would get a bit no, she wouldn't have done that. That's me. But would you understand that she would get very active and brutal and shirty when she's trying to make a point? Because she's standing there, she says, there are things that are, there are things that aren't. And this is one of the things that are. And, you know, get over it. And she was actually quite forceful with telling people to just get on with life. Which you didn't always listen to, apparently. I'm not saying anything. But this is what she's giving me to say, that this is the important part of her message, that you must understand nothing. I hope she wasn't conservative, because nothing has changed. She would not be happy with that. But that nothing has changed. Nothing has and nothing would have changed. I'm also, thank you. Thank you. Right. It's not gone away, but it's moved. And it feels different. And what she is explaining to me because of this is it's a demonstration that there is someone still on the earth plane who's been having pains in similar locations and is quite worried about a repeat of the situation. No, no, no. You bad girl. We'll be having words afterwards. Still worth getting checked out, but not the same thing at all. This is new. I don't normally, I'm not Q. Yeah. Right, there you go. Actually, would Mum snap her fingers to get your attention? But there's a lot of a lot of finger snapping going on. Don't like it. I'm going to lose a finger in a minute. But just been told off. Get on with it. This whole thing about, getting it checked out and stop and worrying. You know, just get it checked out for your own peace of mind. But no, I'm not going to let that happen. Not going to let that happen. You are in trouble. You haven't moved her picture lately. There was a time you would move it to dust it. I am saying that if you run your finger either on top or behind, you will be quite annoyed with yourself. Apologies, but that is proof in itself, because I've never been in your house. They love to embarrass. It's all part of the fun and upliftment of spirit. It's standing on something. I know you've got one on the wall, but no, it's standing on something. Is there some sort of plant next to it as well? I see green next to it. I don't know whether it's a plant or... Right. But yeah, move it. Oh dear. Sorry. But it just proves that either I've got hidden cameras all over your house or I'm talking to spirit. I know which one it is. Yes, you are. She just stood there going, oh, sass. She's got a hand behind her back with one watching, you're in trouble. I have to give you an anniversary. Anniversaries can be evidential, but I sometimes think that it's a little bit, cliched to just stand here chucking out random days and months. But there is an anniversary coming up in the next week or so, or I'll go for it's 2 weeks maximum. Around Easter time. Or would there be an anniversary at Easter? Because I know Easter usually changes. It does change. That is the one that changes, isn't it? Something happened at Easter, either a passing, a birth, or a marriage at Easter. So we are talking potentially between March and April. But there was an Easter event that was an anniversary. You will have to investigate and get back to all of us. And you'll have to tell the whole world on the internet because they need to know too. Thank you. Also, okay, she's telling me that you're doing well, but you need to still keep pumping up the volume. Okay. Yes, of course. You went away last week to visit someone. Especially pumping up the volume for him because he's getting more and more deaf as every day passes. So she's obviously keeping an eye on him and finding it funny that she really was quite naughty. I never expected this from your mother. But what she's saying is he never listened when I was here. Then his hearing started going. And now because he don't believe, he can't hear me anyway. So there's no point in having any hearing. It was really, really brutal. There's no point in having any hearing. And I do feel that that's what she would have said when he was ignoring her when she was on the earth plane. You still say that yourself about people around you, but I'm very much aware that individual is still very much on the earth plane and could very well be listening, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut. But you do take after your mother as far as the way she behaves in certain relationships. Would you understand that? Right, okay. I have to say, thank you. She's giving me a parting gift now because I'm being called to attention to get on and go somewhere else. But what I have to say is, have you ever heard of an Easter cactus? Yes, she's giving that as a parting gift. I don't know whether there's a memory link to that attached or whether it's just a representation of very, very pretty but very, very thorny. Be careful.
There's a link with cactus.
Right, okay. So she gives that with a great deal of love, and I'll say God bless you and thank you for listening. Right, who's the next victim? Recipient. Okay. It's funny the things that you say from the platform over the years that then make you start doing things slightly differently. Because when I first started developing, I was made aware that the more a medium drinks, the more they are erring on the side of psychic level vibrations for their work. And the less water you drink, the more spirit induced it is. And so now when I do work on the platform, I'm always very careful about sipping rather than gulping. One of the things that I didn't say at the beginning is that everything that I say between messages has some connection. And I'm very much about this sipping of water is the first real piece of information that I'm having come through. There was definitely no gulping. This person was sipping water in their life. They'd have probably gulped a few other things, but in this is definitely sipping, as though whoever it is that I'm coming to was actually holding the cup, or the plastic, it was a little plastic cup, was holding the cup there to help them sip and keep moist lips and feel hydrated, because they were not able to do that themselves. And I do feel that this was very close to the time of passing that this was happened. Thank you. I'm getting the pains coming through tonight. God bless you all, you're wonderful. Because I'm struggling to walk, so I do feel that this person had a bit of a limp. I don't tend to specifically say sides because sometimes it's looking in a mirror, but I can feel the pain this side. So today I am definitely saying that the limp was on this side. So there was it feels in the hip area, so it could have been a broken hip. Or just a bang or a bash, but definitely struggling to walk on this side. Someone who was being nursed by whoever it is that I'm coming to, giving them sips of water. Thank you again. I'm feeling a very parental feeling, but I still have no gender yet. So I'm going to keep getting that information and building that picture up until I've got something decent to give to whoever it is that's coming through. What is that? I keep seeing flashes of something, as though, flashing of lights, lots of lights, flashing of lights. There were lots of blinking lights. Thank you. So I do feel this person would have been, because I keep hearing the beep, beep, beep. This person would have been in hospital. So the person that I'm coming to would not have been the only carer in the room. But I'm seeing the lights and I'm seeing the flashing, especially the green ones, thinking they're good. This person still had a really strong sense of humor in the face of adversity, in this of difficulty. It was for the it was for the benefit of whoever it is that I'm coming to, but it also helped them build up. Can I come to you two, please? Would you both understand that? No. Right, okay. Don't feel motherly, I feel parental. So it could be a grandparent. And I'm not getting a gender, so would you understand a grandfather? Oh, right. Oh. No. Hold on a second. Anybody else understand that before I dig deep and find out what's going on? It'd help if I get a gender first. So I was distracted by the fact that I'd got my back to you. I do apologise, but when I'm away with the fairies, come forward. Right, would you understand? Thank you. Would you understand that there was something about dignity and privacy when she was passing, which is why she's keeping quiet about anything to do with gender? Thank you. Apologies, back soon sometime. Right, okay. It was befuddling me as to why I was not getting something as simple as gender. And I actually do the deep dive and say, why? Don't want to talk about it. Don't want to talk about it. Why? It's my dignity. Oh, I know where you get it from now. Because she started out so sweet and so calm and so quiet. And then when I pushed and pushed and pushed, it was bang! It was like, whoom! You know, you don't push this lady. You really, really don't, because she might look sweet and innocent, but by word has she got a bite to her when she needs it. Didn't use it very often, but when you got it, you knew you'd earned it. Not deserved it, earned it. And that's very important, the way it's a demonstration of the way she looked at the world. Everything was earned. The good and the bad. It was not about deserving, it was about earning. Okay, I'm going to... There's so much privilege in this world. Okay. So I do feel like I want to stand up on my soapbox. She would have been very much a soapbox woman. So, there's so much privilege in this world and it's all about deserving. No, it's earning. People have earned so much and have so little, and then there's people who think they deserve everything, get whatever they blooming well want. Well, I've had enough of it, and I've been watching from up here, and I'm sick of it. And she really did get quite... Whew. It's like she had to stop at one point to take a breath, and she would wear herself out. And the closer she got to passing, the shorter the bursts of frustration, soapboxing, whatever you want to call it, they got shorter because she couldn't maintain it as long. But it doesn't mean to say that she wasn't giving a good saying so anyway, because she could say in a few words what many other people would take whole paragraphs to say, right down to the extent that even a look, and especially the look. But I do feel she was a bit crafty. Oh, thank you, dear. Thank you. Bless you. New cameraman. He's doing well. She was crafty with it as well, because she would fix you with a gaze, but she would not actually be talking about you. And suddenly, when the sentence ended, she would do this, wouldn't she? And it's like, I'm giving you the breathing space. You know I'm talking about you. I'm going to let you think for a little bit longer. It's not. But it is, isn't it? And it's that wonderful sense of humor with her. I'm to stop calling it lecturing. I'm to start calling it educating. She didn't lecture, she educated. That's important. Thank you. She's saying that you don't bring that out as much as you used to. You're much, she says, I was going to say she's much more mellow now, but what she actually wants me to say is she's far too mellow now. I'm sure somebody else wouldn't agree with that. But by her standards, yes. The thing is, she understands, but she worries. Remember that spirit have opinions that we can disagree with, please, because personally I would. She worries that the fire is waning a little. She's saying that there's been plenty of reason and opportunity in the past, especially in the year or so before I ever met you. I don't know what that's about, but in the year or so before I met you, the fire was almost extinguished. But she worries that the flicker wanes a little from time to time, too much. It shouldn't. I don't know why I had to take my glasses off to do that. Maybe that's something she would have done when she was emphasizing. It was because it was about seeing, thank you. It was about seeing things for what they are, not through the devices of others. And that actually applies to the situation I was referring to. Seeing things for what they are, as they are, not through the devices of others. So there is an emphasis in doing that as well. I don't know whether you'll be surprised to hear this or not. I'm not doing it. Get the camera. You need to follow me to do this because this is going to be funny. You're a good boy, really. So that's what she wanted. You were worried that she might be lecturing. You were worried that you might be in trouble. I'm making your life difficult tonight. But you're a good boy, really. You might have had your differences, a lot, but actually she didn't see you for who you really were inside. You didn't help yourself, in her view, but she sees the person you are. She sees everything you do, and most importantly, she now knows what goes on up here. And no, she says it's wonderful. She really, really, in certain ways, didn't get you, which I feel might have led to some difficulties. But you are, in her words, good boy, really. And, I see the sense of humour. You don't want to sit there and laugh, and I ain't finished with you yet. And it's, do you know, it's wonderful because it's almost this playful ticking off because you have not earned a ticking off. You have earned praise. You have earned respect. And you have earned compassion. And she says, now I'm up here and up here for both of you, because you are very much aware of her when she's around. You might go up and make the tea and get out of the way, but you know. And although you feel the memory of what was, you're also aware of the energy that is and the change that she has gone through in not necessarily personality, but understanding that is quite important. And didn't hug either of you enough. Should have done. Sorry. Tough. And she can't let go with that old style of personality, because I'm glad, in a way I'm glad, because otherwise describing someone that you wouldn't recognize is no evidence at all. But she's using it as humor because, as the old saying goes, if you can't laugh at yourself, you can't laugh at anyone. And she said, boy, did I spend my time laughing at people. And I do feel a really strange sense of serenity with her. That everything's at peace now. Everything's at peace now. And I'm just so happy that even though I worry about that little flame wavering, I'm so happy that everything that you two did paid off in the way it did so that you can be the people you are now. I don't understand what that means, but I don't need to, so long as you do. That's all that matters. She wants me to pass over. What is that? I'm getting some really, really weird stuff coming through as parting gestures tonight. I dread to think how it's going to be by the end of the night. Oh, thank you. I don't know whether this is a memory link or just a carry on of her personality and her way of saying goodnight, but she's just given me a bunch of thistles for you. So I'll say God bless you and thank you for listening. I've never given out thistles, but, well, actually, no, that's incorrect. I did once, and it was because she was Scottish. Right. Okay, where are we going next? Okay. As I link in, I'm very much aware that what I said was nothing between messages this time, and that's actually still very pertinent, because this gentleman that's come gliding, and I have to call it gliding in here, is very, very, well, obstinate to start with, but also very discreet, very deliberate, very precise, and would have used silence as as Eunice's mum would have done, as educational purposes, but would use it as an emphasis, and would use silence to hold court, would use silence for everything. Silence mattered. Silence mattered. But also, when he did then speak, it's as loud as 100 bells ringing in my ear. Such a booming, loud voice. And it feels like this is how he is, was, or would have been. But it could also be very, what's the word? Come on. Thank you. It could be very indicative of the relationship that has been developed with this person. Thank you. I do feel a little bit taller than myself. I certainly feel a lot slimmer than myself. It feels great when people come through like that. I do feel that there was a slight stoop towards the end of his life, but I don't know whether the person that I'm coming to would be aware of that. No, I do not like giving out guides. Would you understand that as one of your guides? No. Absolutely, quite right too. Rule number 1, don't give away the relationship then, because that's one of the things I give. I didn't feel, actually, no, it's okay for you to say Dad, because I would never have gotten it. Would you understand that I didn't always feel like Dad? Because I do feel this distance that I don't actually feel like a dad. And I do feel that it ties in very much with what I was saying before, but it was something else as well entirely. I do want to go back to the ringing of bells. It's not just about the volume of his voice. There is something specific about the ringing of bells. I also want to say to you that there was a risk, or a fear of a risk, that it felt like it might start carrying down the generations, because something happened to you that made you step back from people and you started to fear. But the positive in it, he says, is that you then understood me. Thank you. Would you also understand that thank you. I've actually just felt my first bit of emotion. Something that was not seen very often, something that was rarely demonstrated, but it was nevertheless noticeable and present for a certain young lady. The only one that ever broke down his walls, and the only one that ever could. And I feel an aching in my heart regarding that lady, because in spite of the fact that I worshipped her, I still didn't do her the justice. I didn't do you justice, but her even less. He's still doing what he would have done. And I do feel that he would have stood there, and he didn't do that. He used the whole hand. Because that's not how I do it. But and it's almost as though he doesn't want me to say what I'm about to say. But nonetheless, he knows I have to. That fear that you had, that you achieved it, that you broke that mold, I now understand this. You will not necessarily or find it hard to believe what I'm about to say. I'm very proud of you for doing it. You've never heard that from him before. But nonetheless, it's there. Am I all right to continue? You sure? Here's another word. Sorry that it took me to be dead for you to hear it. There were times when you looked in his eyes, you might have felt a flicker of it, but it wasn't very often, and you always questioned it because you never heard it. I was proud of you, but you and I both know the emotions that we have experienced, that we have in common, how difficult it is to open our mouths and speak it. But that is not an excuse, because I cannot make excuses where I am. I do feel a great sense of awe of where I am, and there were times he didn't think he was going to be there until he found out that the other place doesn't exist. All there is just up there and a workload depending on how good you were. I had to do a lot of work. I still have a lot of work. Okay. But I am very much in awe of the place that I am. Slightly surprised, a little bit gobsmacked, but in my heart I always knew it was there. And I don't know whether that's something that you can relate to, but that is how he feels about being where he is. He references, and now I understand why I said what I said, thank you. He references work to do up there, and a comment that I made initially. Not now, but one day, I would like you to find it in your heart to forgive me enough to let me help you in your work. Probably won't, but the offer is there. It is genuine, because I wouldn't allow myself to say it if it wasn't genuine. I understand that you, and that's why I said it the way I did. I understand that you wouldn't want it. But know that if you ever feel desperate and have to call on anybody, they will tell me. And I will do what I can to make up a small portion of my past. He said earlier that he was proud of you. He wants you to know quite categorically, under no circumstances does he take credit for that. But I do start feeling that emotion again about a certain young lady. And that's the way he refers to her to me. my certain young lady, she is responsible for the man you are. As a medium, I will say to you that I felt the struggle and difficulty that he had in saying those words. There are words that he wants to say similar to a certain young lady. He can't yet, because it's another level. Not to dismiss, but it is a completely different level of I'm not ready to do it yet because I don't like myself much. As he starts to back away, he literally just snorted at me when I said, would you like to give a parting gift? As if to say, don't think I'm giving flowers. And so I do feel that that's a representative, because I'm very much aware that it's been a speech from him rather than evidence, normal style evidence. But I do feel that the evidence in his personality and the memory links that we have shared on his behalf have been of use. But I do say that his parting gesture is a watch that will be of substance. And I will say, God bless you. And thank you for working with me. Right. There's one thing that I always do after emotional situations, and that's try and bring up a little bit of humor and laughter. Sometimes spirit helps me. So it's all right, I'm coming back there a second for a minute. You're all right, you carry on. Sometimes spirit help me, sometimes I have to help myself. So what I would normally do at this point is say, Nick, you've got time for one more. So as I'm cheering for myself, I'll remind myself that I have to keep an eye on the clock. Okay, and I'll remind myself that there is a congregation here that I should be facing. Right, thank you. All right, okay, fair enough. As this young man steps forward, I do say young man because I feel that he would have been younger than me when he passed. Thank you. I do feel extremely cold down this side. And I know it's not to do with the weather, because I'm closer to a heater that side than I am that side, because there isn't one close by there. But there is a young male, when I was discussing with him just briefly the relationship that I'm feeling building up, I said, oh, you feel like a friend? I was more than a friend. So I do feel that there's this friendship, but it was more than friendship. It felt like a family connection. I don't know how long he has been passed, so I don't know how old he would be now, but I do feel that he was certainly no older than me. Thank you. He's also got a bit of a cheek to him, because he said, oh, come on, mate, you're ancient. I'm only 44, for crying out loud. As I said, you've certainly been no older than me. Oh, you're ancient, mate, come on. And there's this real cheeky banter going on, and I'm certainly feeling more energetic than I do. Certainly a lot more physically movable than I would as well. But I do feel I am... No, okay. He could get a little bit shirty when you disagreed with him, because I said, he's correcting me on everything I'm saying. I said, all right, I'm sure they'll understand. No, they won't. I am the life and soul of the party, not I was the life and the soul of the party, because I'm still there at every party. There is something important about when party's going on, there is a special reference to him or something done in his honor to make sure that he is still there. He's very much aware of it and is very grateful, just wishes he could partake of it himself. Can anyone understand this young man? No. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. I'm reminded to say that. What was it that you said? Okay, thank you. I'm reminded to say that just because he's a young man as he comes through now, he could be even older than me as I am now, because I don't know when he passed. In some respects, I don't feel like he's been doing this very long, but in other respects, I feel like he's been over a while. So I do feel that he would maybe even be my generation, a generation up. Did you lose a very close friend when you were a youngster? Right. Would you understand that he would prefer to be remembered as the party goer that he was, not the person he became? Would you understand the bit about the memory, the memorial at parties that would have been done? Yes. Would you also understand that I'm not necessarily talking about alcohol in his lifetime, not the parties? Would you also understand that your mother-in-law might have referenced the past that I'm about to bring up? Would you say that you were... No, that's incorrect. That's a question. I'm going to say that you are not quite the same person. He was always that. You were always who you are now. However, how do I put this politely? His words are, you don't, you just say it as it is, because that's how we were with each other. You were... I can't say it! You were a right goer in your younger days. Okay. This thing about time and age, I really am not happy with. Peter, he was Peter Pan. He never grew up. He was Peter Pan. He never grew up. And this is why I feel... I mean, he would... Do not reference other members of the congregation, especially when they're me. It's like he would move with the times too much. And if he were physically alive right now, he would be wearing the attire of the fashion of the day. And he completely carried on all the way through. And, right, okay, would you also understand that he was a little bit of a bad influence on you? Yes. It was fun though, wasn't it? And there is a real sense of mischievousness about him, but a great deal of respect for you. He says, I'm here, so I get it, but I don't. But respect for doing it. And he was an observer. As much as he was the life and soul of the party, he was also one of these ones that would hang back and just watch. Because this is what he does now. He's just standing there like this, and he's going, I'll stand and watch you, you know. I'm keeping an eye on what you're up to. Yeah, but he goes, it's still a bit weird though, isn't it? And it's that sense of youthfulness that he never wants to grow up, even up there. That's caused me a few problems up here. You cannot mock such a thing, surely. Yes, he can. He's so irreverent. It is amazingly, wonderfully refreshing that he's so irreverent. He says, that whole bit about judging yourself, why do I need to? I was all right. And it's just like, he completely turns everything that should be so sacred on its head. But it still feels all right because it's not done in a spiteful way. He says it was about living, and it still is. What's the point of being serious all the time? What's the point of taking everything so serious all the time? There's plenty of people in the world who can take things seriously all the time. Sometimes you just got to loosen up a bit and live a little. Do you know what? He could have actually been quite philosophical in his time. And he didn't have to be under the influence of anything to be philosophical, though it did help. But he could be so philosophical, but it wasn't a traditional philosophy. It was, thank you. This comes from my guide directly, massively ahead of his time. Okay. My guide has just stepped in to help with, because he just wants to chat rather than give me the information I need to actually give decent evidence, which is probably evidence in itself of his personality. But what my guide is saying is that if you were to take the 60s and take the noughties and they had a child, that's your mate. He also liked to interrupt and throw in a few choice words because he referred to what kind of child that would be. And I'm not repeating it. He's still trying to catch me out. And he just stands there, go on, you can say it. No, I can't. But he's like, come on, live a little, lighten up, Vic. He's like, I hate that. But he knew he knew which buttons to press. And he would press them just to get a rise and a bit of action and a bit of laughter. And he says, it's nice to see that in all your seriousness and maturity, you never lost your sense of humour. He says, I was worried a little bit about 5 or 6 years ago, but it still came back. And as much as we might not all know, as much as we might not have got on, either as in historically or as in practice, I don't know whether he holds you in very high regard. You two might have, either if you knew him, you would have clashed. If you didn't know him, you certainly would have been two very polar opposites. Okay. But he holds you, oh, wow. A moment of seriousness. Doesn't happen very often. Make the most of it. I hold you in high regard. Because whilst I never grew up, you made sure that he lived long enough to do it. And he credits you with being, oh wow, I've never had, he's literally just put yin and yang in front of you and he's just spinning it round. And he's saying you are two halves of a perfect whole.
Yeah, the other you're talking about, we've learned, like...
Steady, I ain't finished yet. Yeah, I ain't finished yet, steady. Okay. The two halves of the perfect whole, he then doesn't want to be too serious, so follows up with the phrase, but I'm not telling you which one. He says, but I have just laid some cardboard over it so that you won't see it coming. So he doesn't want to be too serious, but he does want to recognize the need that you two are perfect together. Okay. I have never, ever, ever done this before, and I certainly have never name dropped before from the platform. But as a parting gesture, I have to give you something specific and then say the words with it. It's a guitar pick. I'm off to find Hendrix. I know he's up here somewhere, but I still ain't met him. I will say, God bless you. Thank you for listening. Sorry I didn't get round to anyone else. Pardon? We're out of time. Sorry I didn't get round, everybody. Speak to whoever you need to afterwards, though. Thank you all for listening. I'm sorry I didn't get around more people, but as I know Spirit, it's all about they do what they want, and I have no control over it. So I claim basically no responsibility whatsoever for anything I've just said. Thank you all for listening, and God bless you all. So friends, I'm very much aware that I have overrun myself by 2 minutes. I will punish myself later. So a thank you to everyone. Thank you to Mum and to Hannah and Sam and to Bully and Henry and I still can't remember his name. Waffle. Hey! And of course, thank you to Reverend Alan for your wonderful reading. Everyone at home can't see this. You are very privileged. He's very relaxed tonight, having a nice lounge down because he forgets that I can see him, but he looks very, very comfortable and relaxed, so I'm glad to see that. Friends, let's join together and close in prayer. As we say, Great Spirit, Father, Mother, God, we thank you for the opportunity to come together as friends, to witness your proof and your truth that life is indeed eternal. I ask for a blessing to be placed on each person here present, the friends and families that they represent, and to send out our thoughts and our love to all who are in need in this world right now. And so as we go out into this world, let us take with the message that there is hope, that there is love, there is truth and compassion in this world, and that we must nurture, breathe upon the embers of it and make it blaze in glory. And in times of struggle and difficulty, we make the statement and the request that we do not ask you to move the mountain. Just give us the strength to climb. In love, in truth, and definitely in light. Amen.
Amen.
Friends, we are about to sign off online. Jay will be very pleased to hear that, considering the grief I've given him tonight. But before we go, tradition. For all those watching at home who won't be entering into the raffle to get it, however, I will just say that on the 31st of July, I got a date right. On the 31st of July, we are having a mind, body and soul event in this hall. And I'm very much aware that a certain young lady is making a batch of these to sell. So you might not get it tonight, but you might get one if you come and see us on the 31st of July in this hall. I can't believe I'm getting dates right tonight. What's wrong with me? So time to print screen. Yeah, got the glimmer there. Print your screens if you want a copy. Hang on, let me get it a little bit squarer. There you go. Press the button now. And that is going to be won by somebody as Bully's special prize tonight. And so, friends, thank you all for watching us and joining with us here in Village Hall at Littleport tonight. From all of us here, we say God bless you. Good God, be good, have fun, And we say to you all after 3, 1, 2, 3, good night, and God bless you all.